Hello. So, good morning. Good morning. I really, yes. That's good. So, we are super excited to have you, Prakash Bhalerao Sir, here. This expanding market, right, like in US is very close to any entrepreneur. We start, like when we start like our journey in, any part, right, like especially US, right, like plays a very important role. So we all are very much excited and, having few companies, I understand that like we focused in Japan, but we feel that like we should have started with the US market first. So we are looking forward, and thank you very much for like creating this wonderful opportunity. So I'll just quickly take you through like a few instructions before we start. So the first part is like please keep your phones on silent mode. Restrooms are right like on the left hand side, so you will, if you need like any help, someone will guide. Then networking is encouraged, and one very good thing to hear, आज मला एक म्हणजे आधीच्या सेशन्स मध्ये आलेला जावेद भेटला. जावेद, just like raise your hand. Yes. So great to hear that तुम्हाला म्हणाला की 2 सेशन्स तो येतोय आणि he started seeing meaningful impact, right, like after joining this session. So this is always good to see that, and we really want to like continue this effort, and there is a huge support, as I mentioned, right, like from Garze Marathi, IPJ, right, like and all these local bodies, right, like are helping us. So this is really great. Thank you so much. And we have Anand sir also today, so also let's give him a big round of applause for the work that he is doing. We right like आता जसं बघतोय आपण की we really want to ensure that like we are creating platform for entrepreneurs in Pune, to start with Pune, and then we will try to see what we can do right like outside. So we are always right like inviting thought leaders, specifically those right like who have exposure right like in different markets. आणि right like 9th event लाच आपल्याकडे one of the right like so like great thought leader आपल्याकडे आलेत. Actually let's like give him a really warm right like welcome. So this session I want to right like do it in this way. We will start maybe initially right like Prakash, if you could just take us through your journey. Then what I will do, I've got some questions, so I'll set the tone where I will talk about market entry, growth strategies, funding, networking, regulatory environments and future, right? Like what will happen in the future. But after that, I will open the floor for everyone, and maybe right like we'll ask questions. And in between, right, like if you also can talk about the opportunities that are there, right, like in the US for entrepreneurs. Especially with the BMM event that is going to happen. If you can talk about that as well, that will be great. So with that, let's start the event. Once again, thank you very much for joining, and really looking forward to very intellectually stimulating session. Thank you. Yes, sir. So over to you. Yeah.
I don't think I need a microphone for my delivery. My voice travels. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to thank Anand and Madhav sir for giving me this opportunity to come and talk to you. He went and searched on the internet about what I have done, what sins I have committed. Probably, he didn't find enough. So I got to explain to you. So I've been in US for almost 50 plus years. I went there in 1971 to get my postdoc in engineering. And then I worked for a computer company for 16 years. I started as a CPU designer and grew up in the management, managed over 5,000 people. Computer company no longer exists, Digital Equipment Corporation. Some of you may remember the company. And managed groups all over the world. And in 1990, I moved to Bay Area and started a company which the product all of you have used. The company was called C-Cube Microsystems, and they pioneered DVD technology. Actually, digital video is what was the claim to fame. So all the satellites and all the phones and everywhere you use digital video, the compression technology was pioneered by that company, and all the silicon chips and the systems were done, and then they were licensed out. Company went public. People made a lot of money, including me, and then I became a venture capitalist. So since then, I have been playing a VC role. This is before पैशाचा महापूर सिलिकॉन व्हॅलीमध्ये यायच्या अगोदरची गोष्ट ही. दिस इज कंपनी वेंट पब्लिक इन 92. तुम्ही जे सिलिकॉन व्हॅलीचे जे स्टोरीज ऐकता, देर ऑल अबाउट mid-90s and later. So I was fortunate enough to participate in the growth, that explosion that took place in Silicon Valley. So I can tell you stories. I have seen everything and anything under the sun, from the board fights to idea becoming business and people becoming multimillionaires and billionaires. What I have done is I started with my own fund. I have my own fund. And there are different venture capitalists that do different ways. Some venture capitalists, they raise the fund from the pension funds and from wherever they manage the fund, and they take a percentage. Those of you who know how the venture capitalists work. And then there are 4 or 5 partners. You go present your deal, they sanction you, one of them gets on your board, and they help you going wherever. Right? My model is a little bit different. My model is that I have my own fund. I didn't participate with anyone. But I got involved with a very early stage in the company. And very early stage meaning sometimes at the time when the idea is being formulated. And I took an active role in those companies. So I took the common shares as well as the preferred shares. And I've done investments from 50,000, few thousands to few million, depending on whatever the requirement was. So my largest investment was 17 million, for example. So I'm just giving you a range, and lowest one was 25,000. That gives you a range. The reason is because, if the particular idea is there, then you put based on the risk, increase the investments in the companies. That's what you do typically. So I might have been involved about 50, 60 companies. Some of them have gone public. Lots of them got sold. Some of them we had to shut down. As things go on, that's what life is. But I have, unlike most of the VCs, my journey has been hands-on, taking an active role in a company. So at any given point in time, I may be active in 2 or 3 companies, and that's it. So the journey goes, you raise the seed round, you raise the first round. I'm still taking a very active role. We bring in the later round, and then I only remain on the board and take myself out of the operating role. And then we bring in the CEO and the company runs, and then company goes public or does whatever. I remain on the board depending on whatever the help they require. So, and then I take on the next one. So that's what I have been doing. That's my journey. Mostly in the area of media, networking, infrastructure, all the way up to IoT devices. And that is, I have not done any investments in healthcare. I don't know nothing about healthcare, because in early stage you need to understand the market segment, the customers, and so on and so forth. So the guidance that you need is very different, because typically startup people come with the founders come with ideas. They are not entrepreneurs; they are founders, because their idea the company is formed on. So they call themselves entrepreneurs, but they are not. Entrepreneur is the one that creates a direction out of a confusion. There is a difference. Okay, so some of you may call yourself founders, some of you call yourself entrepreneurs, some of you may call confusing. I just want to clarify that. So just be aware of that, right?
Can you clarify that point again?
Okay, so the founder is on whose idea the company is formed. It may be you might have gone to IIT, you might have gone to some good school, you might have worked at a company like Intel, you might have headed up some group and you have some idea. And you came up with the idea. So you're a technical individual with the idea the company is formed on. So you're a founder. That idea has to become a business. And for the idea to become a business, that idea has to go through a journey. And that's the journey of the company and journey of the founder. And the founder could become an entrepreneur. And don't get me wrong. Okay. But sometimes what happens is the founders in the morning, they think they're going to negotiate a contract with a Japanese distributor. In the afternoon, they're going to direct a marketing strategy. In the evening, they're going to do the coding. It doesn't work that way. There is no superhuman. There is no company you can think of that is built on one person. You need a team. And the team needs to be cohesive, it needs to be put together correctly. And where people like me who add the value is to make sure that I can gauge the strength of the individuals and I can stitch the team together so that if you show me the best team, I'll show you the best product. If you analyze Apple's when Steve Jobs was there, and if you have any insight, you will find Steve Jobs had a team behind him. He had a handful of people that were behind him. That entire thing became a product. What they put out was a product. So it's the team that puts out a product. Yeah, there is a leader, there is a visible leader that is outside, but the team that puts out the product. Any successful company, any successful entity, any successful product, you study and you will find a team. So what is important is to look at your strengths, you look at your weakness, and you do that. Typically where the founders get into trouble is there is a conflict between the ego and the greed. Founders typically get stuck with the ego. You have to understand why are you trying to start a company. You are starting a company because to satisfy your ego, or you are starting a company because you want to satisfy your greed of some kind, whatever that is, right? So that distinction needs to be clear. So the entrepreneur is the one that understands that and creates a direction. So to me, the role that I play in the early stage is an entrepreneur role. I'm looking at the confusion. I'm looking at the confusion in the market. I'm looking at the confusion in the product. I'm looking at the confusion in the product specs. If it were to be left for the founders, they will super spec the product. Because I think a product needs this particular feature. It may not. Have you gone and talked to the customers and what customers are endorsing? You end up over-articulating, developing the product. Most of the time it happens. So I'm just giving a concept of how the distinction is between what the entrepreneur's role is and what founder's role is. So that's the role I have been playing. We have done distributions all over the world because these companies typically get incorporated in US. In the earlier days, they all were in US. Then we started using the back end in Bangalore. At one time, we had about 7,000-8,000 people in Bangalore in different companies doing these things when I was active. And then the rest of the world, you do the distribution. Okay, so what the topic today I'm going to talk about is the US market. Now, what is important from my perspective and what needs to happen or what happens in US? There is a difference between the way you develop the service company and a product company. My talk is primarily oriented towards the products. It's also applicable for service, but some points may not be applicable. So in the product companies, typically, idea to take a shape and become a business, the most important thing is two things. One is the money. Without money, there is no tiki. Nothing is going to happen. So how do you raise the money? And how do you continue to supply the money while you're attempting different things for product to become a product to stick, right? And second thing is the customers. Very, very crucial. So the customer feedback in terms of what customer wants, not me as a developer wants, is very, very crucial. So most of the companies that I'm involved with, when I put 25,000 versus 5 million, are the companies that are within 30 miles perimeter. I was just telling that to somebody today. The reason is because what is important at a very early stage is the product, where the product specs are and how the product is put together and what the customers are looking for. So you need to understand you need to have the real close relationship with the customers and take a feedback and develop a product, right? So you go to the customer and say, I have this spec, I have this thing, would you use it? He says, okay, sounds good, first customer says. So what you didn't like? So get a feedback. So you go to the second customer and say, yeah, if you do this, then we may use it. That's the second level of endorsement. They say, Third level of endorsement is, if you do this, we would like to be the first customer. Next level is, if you do this, I want to participate with you to develop it. That means they really need you. Okay? And last one is, not only I will participate, we want to invest in resources or whatever. Right? That endorsement from the customers is very crucial. Okay, so you go through that journey. Okay, now the first customer has endorsed it, you have developed a product. Now you go to the multiple customers in the geographical area, because the most expensive part is not the engineering, it is really the market and business development. It's a lot of money. Most of people think that product development takes 1 million, it will take you 10 million to build a channel, to build it, to make a business. So typically what you do is you look at similar kinds of customers and you're having dialogue, and you build that, and you build some expertise, okay, some resources, and the customers start initial buy that begins. Now you say, okay, now I have exhausted my physical area in terms of the number of customers that I talk to, right? Now I need to see, can I set up a distribution in Boston? If I'm in California, can I set up distribution in East Coast? In US, I'm just giving you a perspective, right? So you are building these in steps. You are building in these steps. You are not taking, my first customer said yes, so now I'm going to go to Japan. Doesn't work that way. What I see with the Indian companies is they may have developed a product. I'm not talking about, some of you may have done it, some of you may not have, but this is the point that I'm making, that you need to be very careful. That they have a team, they have some endorsement, they have some traction here, and all of a sudden they want to run to US. It's like all of a sudden, I want to run to Japan. It's not going to work. You have to grow within your own, with the least amount of investment that you can put on in the market development. So if you have developed a product for the Indian market, typically that's what you have done, then you should try to dominate the Indian market first before you run off to someplace else. If your idea is that you want to build a product and you want to sell it in US, then you go incorporate a company in US. Don't incorporate it here. Use this as your backend. Move your lock, stock and barrel, move it out there, do the architecture, do the VC, do everything back there. Very, very important point for people, those of you who are going through that struggle right now. Try to become, if your product is successful, you do it here. I mean, there are companies, there are products that are very successful because indigenously you consumed it. The most successful product, anybody can name most successful software product in India today? The whole world respects it. UPI. UPI is the most successful product. 20 countries are chasing India. It has been proven. That's the stage you want to get to. People chase you rather than you chasing them. It is important that if you are going to build a product, if you're going to go focus it, make sure that you are understanding the indigenous requirement and you are building those products here. If you want to develop a product for American market, then go incorporate a company in America. Don't do it here. You will not get a perspective. I have gone through that. I have learned it. One of the companies I invested in, that were doing some work with respect to large screen TVs. So when you in the old days, when you threw the characters on large screen TVs, the characters didn't look good because the way they have coded it. And we were sitting in US, we had a back office in Bangalore, and we are telling them, these things don't look good. It's an OTT platform. These things don't look good. They say, look good to us. They at everybody's home in those days had 20-inch, 22-inch TVs. On 22-inch TVs, the CRTs, you will not see the problem that you will see at 50-inch CRT, 50-inch LED. You could never convince them. And we are expecting them to develop the product. It didn't work. Well, what we had to do was we had to take, HP was our partner, we had to ship 50 HP TVs to Bangalore. Another story about what went on through customs. But 50 TVs, and now they understood what the problem was. See, I'm just giving you an example just to make you aware that be aware of that. So the next stage is how do you go about going to the US market? So those of you who have gone through the journey, your companies who have gone through the journey, who has gone through the stage when your validation of the customers have taken place, you're dominating in the Indian market some way, shape or form, and all our products, all the idiosyncrasies are ironed out, and now you want to expand for the marketing purposes and business purposes in US. You are the now is what I want to tell you how to do it. So in order for you to go into US, what you need is you need some level of either a distributor or some connection where you start engaging with the US customers. So typically what happens is, unlike if you go to Japan, and those of you who have done the business in Japan or Korea or whatever, these countries are known to have distribution channels. So if I want to do business with LG or if I want to do business with Samsung, there are distributors who who have the relationships with the Korean management and so on and so forth. They will take you in there. Unfortunately, in US, that system doesn't exist because the people coming into US doing distribution have set up their own distributions. There are no distribution agents, quote unquote. Largely, I'm speaking largely. So how do you penetrate? What do you do? So the way you're going to do it is you are going to either move some marketing or business person from your team into US, or you are going to find some relationship in US who has the somewhat know-how in the space that you're dabbling with. That is where this BMM thing had come into effect. Though some of you may be aware, this BMM conference that is taking place in 6 months from now, right? There are going to be 6,000-7,000 people that are going to be there, all Marathi speaking, okay? Marathi lovers, I should say. And they're coming from all walks of life. They're coming from Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, this, that, whatever, some healthcare companies, whatever, right? The way you're going to do, the way the exposure you're going to get, the way you're going to get the exposure is either through your friends and family channels, that you're going to call somebody that went to school with you, they are sitting in New Jersey or Chicago or wherever, right? That's one way to do it, right? Second way to do it, you may have some customers here who may have links out there, that they may get you connected there. The third area is you look at the platforms, whether it's a TIE, whether it's a BMM 24, whether it's a Garje Marathi, whether it's a GIP, whatever. These are all different platforms that allow you the networking, personal networking. And through your own resources, you got to go find out who are the right people, who I can connect to. That's a connection only. So I find somebody's I want to sell something into Google, for example. So I found somebody in Google, and you get that individual interested. Everybody has a desire to, these days, everybody has a desire to participate into something new. And once you create a relationship, then you, through that individual, either themselves or through their relationships, you are going to get into the right organization in those companies. There is no other way. When the platform going from the platform, that's the way to do it. So it is important for those of you who are at that stage in the company, in your companies, to participate in these platforms. And I highly recommend that, whether it's a BMM 24 or Garje Marathi or TIE or whatever, that you attend and you connect. And through that connection, you will find the relationships. There is no other way. There is no other way. You will not be able to find a distributor. There is no distributor that will take your product as such, typically. Or you find someone that's your customer here, they have also outfit in US, And you may have found some relationships with some people and go through your own customers. That's another way you can do it. There is no easy way. For US I'm talking about. For Japan and Korea and whatnot is a different story. For penetration in US, that is what I have seen successfully worked for the other companies as well. That's what they have done. So you keep that thought in mind, and then we'll expand it as we go along. Once you have established a beachhead, you cannot run from here. You have to have the beachhead in US, and that beachhead typically has to be in the area where there is a lot of infrastructure and a lot of support system available. So I would not go start something and then put something in Kansas City. Kansas City, if you're in IT, for example, and you are doing something in IoT, I'm just picking an example. Going to Kansas City because your brother lives there or your wife's sister lives there or whatever is not the way to do it. You go in the area where there is a support system for what you are doing. Most of the customers are in that region. That is what you have to do. I see a lot of people doing this. Go from here and say, I'm opening up something in Dallas. Dallas has no, other than your family member, there is nobody there. I don't know what you are doing in Dallas. You want to build a business, go where the business is, you are going to get your first 3, 4, 5, 6 customers and put it there. It could be California, it could be New Jersey, it could be wherever, depending on the type of business that you are in. If you are manufacturing there, it's a different story. At some point when you are successful and you are manufacturing, then you go wherever the deals that you see from manufacturing, and that's where you go. But for the first 10 customers, take a look at the map of the US. Take a look at where those customers are located. Try to be as close to that geographical area as you can. Very, very important. Then once, if you have 100 customers and 10 are concentrated in one area, that's where you begin, and then you can expand. Because then if you win these 10, you have enough sufficient amount of momentum that you can expand, you can grow. VCs who will put money in you for the expansion that you will need in US will look at that. They will definitely look at that perspective. What momentum have you created? If you created a momentum, you will get the money. Otherwise, they'll give you all kinds of reasons. They won't give you the money. They will not say no. No VC. They will say no. They'll just find some reason. You just have to read between the lines. You should know this. 99% of the VCs don't say no because they know that sometimes they might have made a mistake and they have to get on the knees and get back in so they'll never say no. So I will stop at this point and I will let you ask me questions rather than me going on and on.
नाही ॲब्सोल्युटली. सो तुम्ही सुरुवातीला म्हणालात की माझ्याबद्दल डिस्क्रिप्शन नव्हतं. आय वुड हॅव माझ्या एक तर पहिली गोष्ट अशी आली असते की छोट्या तोंडी मोठा घास. मला एवढं ॲक्च्युली मी जर करायला लागलो असतो तुमच्याबद्दलचं तर परहॅप्स पीपल वुड नॉट हॅव एन्जॉयड द वे दे हॅव एन्जॉयड राईट नाव, अँड आय वुड हॅव नॉट बीन एबल टू गिव्ह जस्टिस. आणि ग्रेट, ॲक्च्युली ग्रेट. आणि सेकंड पार्ट राईट दॅट आय रिअली लाईक फाउंडर आणि एंटरप्रेनर. म्हणजे आपण किती लाईटली वी यूज दॅट सो लाईटली राईट. देर इज सम entrepreneur is someone who's an operator as well, right? Who's going through that journey. So very good distinction. My first question, right? And again, I keep my fellow entrepreneurs in mind and I try to create those questions. So relationship with money, right? Is very different, especially right if you're in Pune, India, compared to what you see in the US. So when you said that, okay, if you have a product, let us set up, right? And if you want to sell it in the US, you have to go there. You cannot just do it sitting over here. The challenge is the amount of investment that is required. The relationship of money that we have over here, right? Even, for example, and that is because of multiple reasons, right? If you would have seen raising funds, right, is not as easy. If you have proper connections, of course it is, but it's not very easy. And at the same time, the way we have been taught so far, right? Like we face a lot of challenges, especially in the thought process, की एवढे इन्व्हेस्ट करायचे आहेत, ओके तिकडे जर सेल्सचा माणूस घ्यायचा आहे 200K, 300K, 500K sometimes, and that's something, right? Like we are not even, right, like the budget for a year over here as well, right? Like for a whole team. So the thought process, right? Like, and you have worked with so many companies. What traits that you have seen in successful companies when they are expanding from perhaps, right, like Pune, or right, like with that thought process, right, like Indian thought process where the relationship of money is in that way, and they have grown, right, like over there. किंवा आम्ही काय thought process आणायला पाहिजे? What thought process that we should have?
See, the most of the companies that I have seen that are done successfully well are the companies who have become dominant players in the Indian market, and then they are gone. In that situation, the money plays a little role because they already have momentum behind them. That's the point I was making. Because if you feel that taking that kind of an investment is a challenge for you, then you are probably premature going to US, number one. Number two, second thing I'll tell you, when you hire the people in business development and sales, how many of you are from sales here? Okay, 3 or 4, okay. So here those of you who are not, but who are running the companies, or who have the responsibility, I use a very simple formula. So in the beginning, very first in this, for the first customer, I am the salesperson, or me or the founder, a combination of it. Because you are selling an idea, a concept that is has a lot of risks. Any company that will buy that product or that idea, they can buy it from the large company. They don't need to take risk with me. So I need to convince them that I am the lowest risk and the better product, better solution, right? Okay. So I'm not talking about the first one. Okay. But when I bring a professional salesperson in the company, whether it's US or whether it's whatever he talked about 200K or 400K, I have a very simple thing. So I say, okay, product is ready. I have validated it 3, 4, 5 customers, and now I need to expand. The salesperson I hire, I try to hire it as low a salary as possible and as high commission as possible. Okay, the commission structure we give is different. What we say is, okay, if this is what it is, this is the quota, there is I'll give you a commission at 100%, I'll give you 10%, whatever it is, at quota. At 150%, I'll give you 50% commission. Okay, it is cutting off from my margins, but those early wins are very important. On the top of it, I'll give you a bounty. If you do this, and if you get Apple, I'll give you 100% of the thing. Because what is important is you are building a market, and if the person is failure, if the person cannot earn their salary in less than 3 months, there is some period, 3 months, I'm using an example, 3 to 6 months. If the person doesn't bring the revenue, I fire him. I get somebody else. It's very, very crucial to not fall in love with your salesperson. It is very difficult, somebody, how am I going to, what am I going to, and you make it very clear right up front. You do this thing, you will make ton of money. I'll give you an example. I had a company, where, I went to early stage, and some offer came in. So somebody acquired us. Somebody was going to acquire us. So in that acquisition, I was at the time running as a CEO. Other investor was running as a CEO. I'm just giving an example. My salary, total with all the salary and bonus and commission and everything, was 350K. The average salesperson made over 1.1 million. Now, how many of you who are CEOs, that you think you are CEOs, that you think your salesperson is going to be making triple the money? But the value of that was, with a $4.5 million sale, I sold that company for $360 million. My return was someplace else. My return wasn't in the salary. I said, okay, you make as much as you can. Go through the wall. Go through and do whatever. So compensate them phenomenally. If they are good, compensate them to whatever extent. And if they are not good, get rid of them. Very, very crucial. What typically people make mess in the early stage is they just kind of hang on to the skill set. That is the wrong skill set. If you ask me what me as an entrepreneur do, that's what I do in the company. But that you have to be a little ruthless to do it. But you're not doing it. You're doing it because the goal is very clear. My goal is not the ego. My goal is the greed. I put $1. I want to make $10 in 3 years. And if I don't say $10, then I got to do whatever I got to do. And I'm making it very clear upfront when you join. You are not joining me for greed. You are joining me because what you have learned someplace else, you are going to impart it here. You are not going to run on my job. You are not going to learn how to sell on my job. Very, very important. So these things, if you keep in mind, some of these little tidbits, I think you can quickly develop it. So going back to your question, if you think the 200K or 400K is a very high number, then you may be too premature. Number one. Number two, the person that is asking that you are trying to recruit, and they say, okay, I work for Intel and I make 400K and I want 400K, then I will come. He's not a risk taker. You don't want him. You don't want him. The people you want, if there are two people that come to me. Okay, one person says, I have this product and I have developed this product and I have mortgaged my home and I look at this, whatever it is. And it's from Gwalior University. I'm picking a number. Nobody's from Gwalior, right? I hope not. Or Indore University. Indore University. I am from Indore. Indore University. Okay. And this person from IIT, gold medalist, worked at Intel, he comes to me and he says, I have developed this product and whatever. Morning I go work at Intel and at night I have developed it and here I am. And last 3 years I have been developing. Who do you think I will bet on who do you think I will bet on? There you go. I'll bet on this one. It's counterintuitive, but that's what I will bet on. I will not bet on this guy. Intelligence has nothing to do with me. That's only first 3% of your idea. Building that idea into a business is something else. No doubt I need that kind of a skill, but I can recruit that skill as an engineer, not as a founder. I'm just giving you these tidbits that you need to keep in mind because that is what is going to make you successful. So don't get married with IITs, don't get married with whatever. You need to think of what skill set you need and how they will help you at that stage. Now it could be very possible that the sales guy that comes, who is a bull in China shop, the very first sales guy that has brought me a lot of money, he may not be the guy that when the company becomes larger and it becomes a $50 million company, he or she may not scale their skill set because they still are if they are aggressive and they're bull, they'll fight in the team and whatnot, right? They may not be team player. So you may have to make change at that point. And that's okay. Because at different life of the company, you need different type of people. I'm not the guy who would run 5,000 people company. I know that. That is not my cup of tea. I don't like it. I'm a startup entrepreneur. That's what I will do. I never go run some public company. I never want to get on the board of a public company. That is not what excites me. That makes me, I get bored. But I realized that. So that is what is important is perspective you should keep in mind.
Great. No, this is a great point. And that mindset, तो जो mindset change करायचा, mindset shift is very important. And again, right, like being पहिल्यांदा founder, then entrepreneur, then finding the right team members, salespeople. Like it's something. There is a science, right? Like, and that's why, right, like we need to learn from people where थिंग्स हॅव वर्कड आणि थिंग्स हॅव नॉट वर्कड. आणि माय पर्सनली मला असं वाटतं की इनिशियल फ्यू क्लायंट्स ॲज अन एंटरप्रेन्योर यू हॅव टू ऑल्सो गेट, बिकॉज दॅट्स अ व्हॅलिडेशन दॅट वी आर ऑल्सो डुईंग. राईट. मला आत्ता तुम्ही एक जो सांगितला होता पॉईंट की डॉमिनंट प्लेअर झाल्याशिवाय US मध्ये जायचं नाही. आणि अगेन आय एम कमिंग बॅक टू द US मार्केट बिकॉज दॅट्स वेअर राईट लाईक वी वॉन्ट टू फोकस ऑन. सो डॉमिनंट प्लेअरची डेफिनेशन कशी करता येईल? म्हणजे इज इट समथिंग वेअर यू लाईक हॅव गॉट फ्यू प्रॉडक्ट्स अँड का मार्केट शेअरच वाढवलाय का काय केलंय? म्हणजे व्हॉट इज द डेफिनेशन ऑफ डॉमिनंट प्लेअर?
Okay, in the situation where I talked about, when you said you can't afford 200K and 400K, then your profile of the revenue may not be sufficient enough that you can see you can disperse that kind of money.
Right.
So one aspect is the monetary aspect. The second aspect of dominance is you have enough number of customers here that are repeat customers. That are helping you, and the revenue of the company is now you have some, if a total the 100 customers are there, right? You have at least in India, okay, you have 1, 10, 12, 15 customers where some of them are marquee names, because you can see that if staying in India you can grow. And there is a repeat entity. So it is not one specific thing I can tell you that's what will call you the dominant. But if it's an expense for you that you see you cannot afford to build that, then this is not the way you should not be taking it on. So if you have $10 million revenue and you can't afford $200,000, something is wrong. The way you are looking at it is, I don't look at 200,000. I say for first 3 months, 4 months, how much money do I need?
Right.
I don't look at 300,000.
Okay.
Because I'm not making a lifetime commitment. I'm saying I'm going to try it 6 months. Right. I'm going to push like hell.
Yeah, absolutely. This is good.
So you don't think of it like we in India have this unfortunately think that once you hire somebody, they are permanent entity of the company. Unfortunately. That's what it is. Call it fortunately, unfortunately. For in this thing, you have to think of it a little differently.
US मध्ये बिझनेस करताना थोडा USच्या पर्स्पेक्टिव्हने विचार करणं, राईट, लाईक इज इम्पॉर्टंट. अँड
because the cost is too much, na? You can somebody keep on your board, somebody keep on the payroll,
right,
and they're not returning anything. Why are you keeping them on the payroll? Any time that's what you have to, the VC will make you do that.
Right. नाही, मी आता 200-400,000 जे म्हणतोय तर द रिझन बिहाइंड दॅट इज आपण कुठे बाहेर जाताना सुद्धा, राईट, लाईक आता आपण कन्वर्ट करून सारखं बघतो, तो माइंडसेट अँड रिलेशनशिप विथ मनी इज डिफरंट. अँड सेकंड थिंग इज आय हॅव सीन मेनी कंपनीज, राईट, लाईक म्हणजे मोठ्या इथल्या IT कंपनीज, सर्व्हिसेस कंपनीज, दे हॅव ट्राईड टू हायर अँड मेनी टाइम्स दे हॅव नॉट बीन सक्सेसफुल. परहॅप्स द सायन्स, तो तुम्ही जो म्हणालात की 2 महिन्यात 3 महिन्यात यू कॅनॉट हॅव the same relationship with the employees the way you have over here when you're hiring, right, like someone in the US, and it has to be, right, like with the results, right, like result oriented pahiye. That's a great point. I mean,
I cannot comment on services company, right, because that is a different,
right.
Keep my comments more grounded towards product. Service companies have their own issues and own challenges,
right,
and own way of developing that.
Right. सो आता ह्याच्यामध्ये, राईट, लाईक सुरुवातीला आता प्रॉडक्ट कंपनीज जेव्हा आपण म्हणतो ना, तर तेव्हा मी का परत येतो रिलेशनशिप विथ मनी, बिकॉज दॅट्स ड्रास्टिकली डिफरंट, राईट, लाईक दॅट आय हॅव सीन. सो व्हॉट हॅपन्स दॅट देर आर कंपनीज दॅट आर गेटिंग ट्रॅक्शन, राईट, लाईक आय मीन मेनी कंपनीज, हिडन जेम्स, अँड परहॅप्स entrepreneurs म्हणा किंवा फाउंडर्स म्हणा, सुरुवातीला फाउंडर्स टर्न entrepreneurs म्हणा, दे आर व्हेरी बिझी, राईट, लाईक इन देअर वर्क, दॅट दे आर नॉट रिचिंग आउट टू द राईट पीपल किंवा VCs. म्हणजे जसं आता फॉर एक्झाम्पल US मध्ये एकाच एरियामध्ये एवढे VCs असतील की इथे पुण्यामध्ये जेवढे असतील तेवढे सगळे मिळून एका कुठल्या तरी पोस्टल कोडवरती असतील VCs तिथे. सो तो जो ॲस्पेक्ट आहे, राईट, लाईक की एखाद्याने आता प्रॉडक्ट केला, आपल्या आता ग्रुपमधल्या कोणीतरी जो प्रॉडक्ट केला आहे, they have started seeing the repeat customers, they have started seeing some business that's happening, but they don't have enough funds. So what happens is that there is a business, there is an opportunity, but they are not able to, right, like I mean, leverage that opportunity. So in that case, like, what is the best way to reach out to VCs where they will be able to not only, right, like I mean, okay, आम्हाला customers मिळतात, आमचा IPO होता, आमचा मोठ आहे ह्याच्यामध्ये, but we are not able to, right, like I mean, do, right, like funding at the same time, right, like expanding. So त्या केसमध्ये तुम्ही इंडियन्स आता कंपन्या ज्या बघितल्यात म्हणजे ज्या स्ट्रगल, तर तिथनं काही लर्निंग शेअर करू शकता का?
My exposure to the in that perspective in Indian companies is limited. Okay. If you my involvement with the Indian companies was through Axel.
Okay.
So before Axel, it was called Erasmus Ventures, and Erasmus Ventures got incorporated in Bangalore.
Okay.
There are three people that were investors: myself, Google Ventures, and Parag Saxena from Invesco. So three of us put in $25 million in the deal, and then I introduced them to Axel. So what happens is this is the exact same problem that you talked about that I saw. The challenge was in those days. This is about 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
You know, when the Erasmus started, maybe even longer. The challenge was the quality of the proposals that were coming were not good. You could not build a business, the successful businesses out of it. And I said, okay, no, I can't fund you. Two of you incorporate differently. What you do with the other three, you take care of it. They don't have the skill set that is required to build this thing. Because कधी-कधी कसं असतं की people may be there, but because they want to contribute and their skill set is not there, they become obstacle.
Right.
त्यांची मदत घ्यावी, त्यांची तुम्हाला हे घ्यावी लागते, हे ओपिनियन घ्यावं लागतं. यू कॅनॉट जस्ट शन देम अप. असं नाही म्हणलं की तुझं आपण दोघांनी मिळून आपण मिटिंग करू, तिघांनी मिळून आणि आपण तिघजण ठरवू. मग ते दोघं दे आर इन्व्हॉल्व विथ द कंपनी ना. So how do you separate that? It's very difficult in the Indian mindset to do that.
Right.
So the successful product that I forced them to do. So now where to change? Okay, so now how do we deal with the companies? So I said, okay, I see a path, and the path is take a look at a successful business model in US and bring it here and indigenize it. The very first one was Flipkart. That was funded by Erasmus. The business was already established by Amazon. It was very well understood. It came here and it became that. Ola was the next investment. Paperfry was the third investment. So the 4, 5, 6 investments that Erasmus made made it like a band-aid. There is no question. We all made a lot of money. But it was a business model that we said you will only invest. You know, in the earlier stage I was directly involved with them. You will only invest where the successful business models are done in US and you bring it here. No Indian ideas. Because the infrastructure, the whole, to build a company out of idea here, which primarily is addressing US market, was not possible. It was not here. If you come with the idea that is for the Indian market, different story. But no ideas were coming that could consumed in the Indian market. I'm just giving you my experience. Okay. No, it's different now. Okay. But then most of the ideas that people came, they'll do this and they'll sell it to US. I said, you come to US. Don't come and do it from here. Right? Well, that is out of the experience we learned.
Yes.
So what was successful was whatever was proven in US, you bring it here, indigenize it and use it. Credit Karma was another, right? So I'm just giving you all these successful businesses that are already established in US that came here. Make my trip, another one, right? So they are all copies, quote unquote, of what is already established in US that have been done here. I think I talked to this play. I talked to him about the same thing. I talked to him about this. I said, take a look at the successful parallel in the US and try to implement that model here. That is much easier, much quicker. Because business models are all, everything is all ironed out. You're just indigenizing it. That's what you're doing, for example. But to take the India market and go up, it's a UPI, it's an Indian requirement. India requirement indeed grew up. There is a company I just looked at, it is doing this Kirana. So they're doing Kirana Mall, right? So what they're doing is they're managing supply chain management. Okay. So right now what happens is there is a guy that goes and takes an order from Procter and Gamble or Unilever or Colgate or whatever, and then he takes how many you need, and then there is a distributor, and then distributor comes to the retailer, and the retailer then whatever, right? This is a chain. So what iKirana has done is given a dashboard to a retailer. He can directly order it from the company. He eliminated everybody in between. Wonderful idea for India. You take that to US, it's not going to work. The reason it's not going to work is because US doesn't have this mom and pop shop kirana walas. But Ethiopia does, SAR countries do, Pakistan does, Bangladesh, the others. So you can go into those markets, not necessarily come to US. So I said, wonderful idea, but I don't suggest and I don't want to invest in taking you to US. You are a successful entity in India because India has that business, the way the business is run for the mom and pop shops. You don't have all super malls. I mean, you don't go buy everything from super malls. Now people are buying from Amazon, but there are no super malls, right? Like in US. US has no kirana shop. So it didn't exist. So what I'm trying to tell you is focus in your business and see where,
So got the point, and this is very right? Like so scalable करायचं असतील तर whatever that is successful over there, perhaps we can create an Indian version of that over here and create it. But are there any scope or areas, because now we are based in India, we are creating something over here and we want to take it to the US. So what are those areas किंवा अशा काही आता जसं तिकडच्या इकडे आणायच्यात कंपनीज, तशा इकडच्या काय कुठल्या प्रकारच्या कंपनीज तिकडे घेऊन जाता येतील आणि हाऊ शुड बी प्रेझेंट. ऑफकोर्स वी विल हॅव टू क्रिएट दॅट फॉर द US कस्टमर्स. वी ऑल्सो अंडरस्टूड दॅट टीम हॅज टू बी देअर, माइंडसेट, कंपनी, एव्हरीथिंग हॅज टू बी राईट इन लाईन विथ वॉट दॅट परहॅप्स US. पण कुठल्या प्रकारच्या एरियाज राईट व्हॉट आर द ऑपॉर्च्युनिटीज ओव्हर देअर फॉर द कंपनीज राईट हू आर क्रिएटिंग प्रॉडक्ट्स ऑर परहॅप्स लेट्स नॉट टॉक अबाउट सर्व्हिसेस, products, right? Over there, म्हणजे कुठल्या प्रकारच्या companies?
What you need to think of it, I gave an example.
Right.
What it should not be. There may be a market in India, but there is no market in US. For example, iKirana is a good example.
Right.
The iKirana market exists in India, and it exists in other parts of the world where there is a mom and pop shop markets exist.
Right.
Go to those places. Not in US.
Right.
Okay. In the same way, you have to understand whatever product you have that has a segment in US that US can utilize. Right. Then you go to US. If iKirana is he may be making $30-40 million a year business here, right? But there is no place for him in US. Other places. So I cannot get you, each product you have to look and say, okay, now in this product, what is required there? I mean, that's what you have to do. I mean, I can't arbitrarily tell you. If you give an example, it says, these are the examples. Now we take an example and say, is there a market segment in US that can utilize it? If customers can utilize it?
Right.
Then you go afford it. Otherwise, don't go to US.
Got it.
Because you are going for them, you are going to gain the customers.
Right.
If there are no customers, what are you going there for?
Right. So again, right, to summarize, find out if there is something parallel, similar, right, for that product in the US. And
Yeah,
copy that, right?
100%. Otherwise, don't try.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, and no VC in US will invest you in you either. If it does not have the traction, if it does not have the product base in US, they will not invest in you.
Got it. No, this is a great point. And maybe, right, when we'll open this floor, I mean, maybe we can have one or two examples, right, of the companies, and we can also try to see if there is any additional insights that we can have. So now the next point is about networking. तुम्ही आता सुरुवातीला सुद्धा you told that networking is very important, right? Like network is net worth. So how, you know, again, how in the initial journey, as an entrepreneur, perhaps based in Pune with limited exposure, right, like to the global market. Of course, right, like in addition to getting connected to BMM, Garze Marathi, and right, like all these platforms that are available, what are other avenues, right, like where we can create relationships?
See, there are 2 or 3 ways. One is about these platforms, right, where you meet people and you do whatever, right? That's number one. The second one is your existing customers. Typically, they may have relationship. They may be MNCs. So you may be servicing them here, and they may be MNCs, and they may have and so on and so forth.
Right.
Right. So that is. I'm just saying. Simple, quickest way, because somebody working here can easily get you in US.
Right.
Somebody working here for Medline can get you in Medline US.
Right.
If you have, say, healthcare product, for example, right? So they have connection, they'll introduce you.
Right.
For example, right? So look from your customer source how you can approach. That's the second way.
Right.
Platform is one way, that is about the individual networking. Through customers, that's the second networking, right? Other than that, then the things kind of fall off. There is no distribution as such. Certain segments have distributors, quote unquote. Okay. Not every segment has that. Okay. Other than those 2, I don't know. I'm at a loss to guide you where they would be. Once you have established a beachhead in US, once you found a group of people who can do the market development or business development for you, then they can approach the US customers. Right. And they will need the validations and recommendations and so on and so forth, which you can use your existing customers to do that.
Right.
So you have to, that is again a startup, you know, the first 3, 4, 5 customers you win. Because once you establish that, the others will follow.
Right.
So how do you get to that first 2, 3, 4?
Right. So networking साठी, right, like I mean, atta jo event hoto atta BMM cha, I mean, could you share, right, like some insights, and would love to.
Yeah, let me quickly give you another. I'll ask Sandeep to give some perspective on BMM, but let me tell you about the BMM 24. So BMM is an organization Sandeep will talk about. There is every other year there is a convention that takes place in different cities in US. And originally it started with the people, with the cultural get-togethers in early 80s, because other than phones, there are no video or whatever. And I'm from Numavi and somebody else from wherever Numavi, we want to get together and we do our own whatever, right? Or families meet, have good food, watch some Indian shows and whatnot. That's how it started, and slowly it grew, right? And slowly the people in US grew as well, okay, and Marathi people. This started in 99. There was a convention that took place in Bay Area. About 5,500, 6,000 people attended. That time the population of Marathi people in Bay Area was 1,000 families. 1,000 Marathi families in Bay Area in 99. Today, in Bay Area, 12 miles by 30 miles, the total Marathi population is 10,000 families. It's the largest concentration of Marathi speaking people outside India. Surpassed New Jersey, surpassed New York. Right? The convention is taking place in Bay Area. If I look at the total population of US, and this from those of you who are looking at some market segment, is important data for you. Total population of Marathi population in US, okay, 80+% come from Pune Bombay belt. There are very few like me who come from Indore, Gwalior, but 80% of them, 90% of them come from Pune Bombay belt. Very large percentage, about 60% of them are in the age group of 20 to 50, close to even 70% in that age group. And they come to US almost every year or every other year. because their parents did this, that, whatever, right? So it's a market segment. If there is something that you are developing, some ideas in healthcare, whatever, you should keep that in mind. That's a market segment I'm giving you. So we are expecting a crowd of about 7,000 people coming from all over US. They're coming from mostly all professionals, doctors, engineers, mostly IT engineers, engineering field, some doctors and some other expertise as well. Okay. There is a session. There are two things I'm sharing with you. One is there is a business session, and in the business session, one of the themes that I felt that is important is the two aspects. One aspect is the Indian entrepreneurs, people who are building the products in US, in India, who want to have the exposure to US markets. Those who are fitting the profiles that I talked about can come and meet with a group of people, who are like-minded but in different areas, and they can create a networking. That's one aspect. Second aspect is, out of the 7,000 people, there is a database that's available that you can look at. Sandeep Dixit comes from Google, comes from Ohio, works for Google, whatever. So there is a relationship. You can say, okay, my product I want to sell for Google. Let me see if I talk to him for 2 minutes, can he give me the pointer as to somebody he knows in the Google that he can connect me. Now most of these people are middle level. Some of them are very senior level people in all these companies. So quite a few of them, because typically people who come to these things are people whose kids are in college. They have more time and more money at hand, who want to come and attend all this song and dance, right? They want to see Ajay Atul, they want to see, Mukta Barve, whatever, right? So they come, but they are in their own right, they are holding pretty senior positions. So here is an opportunity for you to connect with them. Otherwise, it's very difficult for you to get them, all of them in one location. So in a subliminal way, you can connect with them. So those of you who have the companies at that profile, you should seriously think one aspect. So there is a one area of business focus is on that. The second area of business focus is in reskilling. Reskilling comes in a different way. What has happened is, one type of reskilling is one event that I have conceptualized, and I called it Beyond Doctors and Engineers. Now, the reason I called it Beyond Doctors and Engineers is because I attended a Gujarati convention where they asked me to come and speak, and there were about 1,000 young engineers, young people. And their theme was Beyond 7-Eleven and Dunkin' Donuts. And the reason it was because most of the Gujaratis, that's what they kind of do. Going to US, their kids, they are doing Motel Patels or Dunkin' Donuts or 7-Elevens, right? So they wanted to kind of they want to educate them and diversify into some high-tech areas and do something in the technology area. So that concept I stole, not my idea, I stole. Most of the Marathi people who beat up their kids to become doctors or engineers. But the kids don't want to necessarily all want to become doctors and engineers. That they do it because their parents do it. So Marun Mutkun doctors or Marun Mutkun engineer. Okay. But after they have gotten their degree, they still have this desire to do something. So what we have done is we have put together a session where we are inviting people who are completely out of space from doctors and engineers, but those were doctors and engineers when they grew up. So there is a guy by the name of Parag Marathe, who is a president of the 49ers, which is some of you may know. It's a very famous football team. Vivek Randive, who was the CEO of TIPCO, and now he owns Sacramento Kings. Okay. Then there is a woman by the name of Medha Parlikar. You might not have heard of her. Medha Parlikar, ABCD, but she is considered a crypto queen. She, if you are into crypto, you will know her name. Same way, there is another young girl, Amiti Uttarwar. She was 30 among 30 by Forbes. She's another crypto. She's the crypto princess. So there is a person that has gone into acting. So we have created a session for them to share their stories and kind of give the perspective of what they are. And then there are some seminars and some sessions that are kept for reskilling people. How do you go about reskilling yourself? Going into something else. Because that is a need of the day today for the young people, for example. So these are some different ideas I'm giving you. May or may not be applicable to you, but what the thought process is. It is for the social upliftment of Marathi youth, quote unquote. 15 years from now, 25 years ago, I was involved with the BMM. I'm involved now. 25 years now, I won't be on around. So there has to be some continuation that needs to go on, and that people have to take on and keep this thing live. So that was the idea. So please, those of you are thinking, please do come. You'll gain a lot. I'm pretty positive. You'll gain. We are giving a platform. You have to take the opportunity to take the advantage of it. It's not a question of we can lead horse to the water. We can make him drink.
Absolutely. I think, again, as we discussed, right, like if you want to expand in the US, we need to have quality connects over there. आणि जे काही येतात म्हणजे आणि आय हॅव बीन देअर फॉर दिस लास्ट इयर गर्जे मराठीज इव्हेंट and the connects that I got, right, like over there, and there are people who are ready to open their network, if you're really, right, like sincere, if you're approaching them, there is a huge community over there waiting for you. So let's try to leverage them, and there could not be any better way, right, like connecting in such program where everyone is coming over there for the program. So
one point even though I mentioned this event, right? All these organizations, whether it's a Garze Marathi or TAI or BMM, they all are having monthly, quarterly get-togethers. They have their own groups. They form their own connections, so on and so forth, right? So this is giving you a in. This is not the end. You have to keep in mind. Then once you get in and you get into those groups, you can connect. You form your own connections. So it is a way in. It is not like you go there and then it's done over with. Yeah. None of these organizations, whether it's a BMM or Garze Marathi or TAI or Git Pro, they're continuously having their sessions, meetings, this, that, so on and so forth. You become a part of it. Become part of all.
Yeah, and the great part is, these all connects when they come to Pune, come to Mumbai. We are also happy to have him over here and connect as well. So more you meet, right? Like मी आता एक recently खूप interesting article वाचलं होतं. त्याच्यामध्ये असं लिहिलं होतं की relationships आहेत ना, या पूर्वी कशा ब्लड रिलेशनशिप किंवा फ्रेंड्स वगैरे तुम्ही आधी सुरुवातीपासून कनेक्टेड असाल तर त्या रिलेशनशिप व्हायच्या. पण आता इन द नॉलेज इकॉनॉमी the relationship happens with the information. So more connected, more like information that you are sharing with the other person, you are building those relationships. So these are all avenues, right, like that we are creating and seeing to build those relationships. So would love to hear, right, like more about BMM if you would like to, perhaps.
So माझं नाव संदीप दीक्षित. मी 1989 मध्ये that's okay, that's fine. पहिल्यांदा big round of applause to आनंद आणि माधवजी too. आणि of course a huge round of applause to Prakash. कारण की आज जे तुम्हाला लीडरशिपचं नॉलेज बसून घे सो जे तुम्हाला जे नॉलेज ऐकायला मिळालं तर आय एम ॲक्च्युली ब्लेस्ड टू विटनेस इट फर्स्ट हँड कारण ही इज द कन्व्हिनर ऑफ BMM 2024. सो हे जे सगळं BMMचं जे कन्व्हेन्शन होतं आहे बे एरियामध्ये, सो त्याची सगळी जबाबदारी, एक्झिक्युशन, आणि आय एम रिअली फॉर्च्युनेट टू लर्न सो मेनी डिफरंट थिंग्स फ्रॉम हिम. आय एम अ BMM प्रेसिडेंट, पण ही इज द ट्रू लीडर that's actually making it successful. So a huge round of applause to him. तर BMM बद्दल कोणाला BMM माहिती आहे इथे का? कोणालाच माहीत नाही. यू नो या. सो थोडक्यात 2 शब्द बोलतो, कारण आजचा जो सेशन आहे तो खरं बिझनेस डेव्हलपमेंटचा आहे, म्हणून मला खूप डिव्हर्ट करायचं नाही आहे. पण तरी काय ज्या इसेन्शियल गोष्टी आहेत त्या सांगतो, विच विल हेल्प यू मेक युअर माइंड की मला यायला पाहिजे BMM कन्व्हेन्शनला. तर BMM ही एक अमेरिकेमध्ये सगळ्या मराठी कम्युनिटीची ऑर्गनायझेशन आहे. आज जवळजवळ 60 ते 65 मंडळं, तिथे बऱ्याच लोकांना माहिती असेल, आपली जशी महाराष्ट्र मंडळ आहे तशीच तिथे आपल्या कम्युनिटीची प्रत्येक गावागावात मराठी मंडळ झालेली आहेत. आणि 1981 साली या BMM या संस्थेची स्थापना झाली, BMM नॉर्थ अमेरिका. आणि तेव्हा जे 20-25 हजार पॉप्युलेशन होतं, आज जवळजवळ 2.5 ते 3 लाख पॉप्युलेशन आहे मराठी. आम्ही मराठी अमेरिकन आता असं संबोधन करायला लागलो आहे. आणि मेजर शिफ्ट असा झाला आहे की जेव्हा 81मध्ये BMM फॉर्म झाली तेव्हा सगळे होमसिक लोक होते की अरे मला माझ्या मायदेशाची आठवण येते आणि मला माझं खाणं मिळत नाही आहे, आय कॅनॉट, मला काही एंटरटेनमेंट प्रोग्राम्स मिळत नाही आहेत. सो दॅट्स हाऊ इट ॲक्च्युली स्टार्टेड की सुधीर फडकेची टूर आली की वी स्टार्टेड मुव्हिंग अराउंड डिफरंट सिटीज, आणि ही सगळी मंडळ एकत्र आली. दे वर मिसिंग फूड आणि एव्हरीथिंग, अँड सो वी विल मीट एव्हरी 2 years. दॅट्स हाऊ BMM स्टार्टेड रिअली, द इंडिया प्रोग्रामिंग आणि फूड ॲस्पेक्ट आणि एंटरटेनमेंट ॲस्पेक्ट. ओव्हर द 40 years आता आम्ही BMM 2.0 हा प्रोग्राम लॉन्च केला आहे, कारण द रियालिटी हॅज चेंज ड्रामॅटिकली. आणि जवळजवळ प्रत्येक इमिग्रंट जो आज येतो अमेरिकेमध्ये किंवा कॅनडामध्ये, त्याच्यामागे 3 सेटल्ड मराठी अमेरिकन्स आहेत. मी ते आता तिथे 34 वर्ष आहेत. प्रकाश प्रॉब्ली 40-45 वर्ष इज देअर. सो ही सगळी तिथे सेटल झालेली आहेत. पीपल आर रिटायरिंग देअर. त्यांच्या गरजा वेगवेगळ्या आहेत. तिथे आपली माझा मुलगा, माझ्या मुलांची मुलं, हे सगळी तिथे सेटलमेंट होती. आणि दे आर ऑल, जरी मराठी म्हटलं तरी पुढची जनरेशन इज रिअली अमेरिकन किंवा कनेडियन आहे. सो त्यांच्याबरोबर पण कनेक्ट राहणं खूप गरजेचं आहे. कारण समजा 25 वर्षांनी तुमची एक बिझनेस आयडिया आहे आणि तुम्हाला US जायचं आहे, तर तुम्ही कोणाकडे जाणार आहात? कारण अनलेस यू कनेक्ट विथ दिस न्यू जनरेशन अँड न्यू ऑडियन्स विच इज नॉन मराठी स्पीकिंग, आणि त्यांचा माझा जो संबंध आहे पुण्यामध्ये, मी इथे मराठीत बोलू शकतो, मी मॉडर्न नुमईचा विद्यार्थी आहे, तसा माझा मुलगा कनेक्ट करू शकणार नाही तुमच्याशी. सो ते सुद्धा एक गरजेचं आहे की तुम्हाला ती रिलेशनशिप एस्टॅब्लिश करणं गरजेचं आहे फॉर द बिझनेसेस टू सक्सीड इन. कारण हा इझी ॲक्सेस असतो, एक कनेक्शन असतं. मी आणि आनंद सहज हॉटेल ईशानमध्ये भेटून गप्पा मारू शकतो, तसं सगळ्यांनाच शक्य होणार नाही. कारण वी आर फ्रॉम द सेम सिटी, वी आर फ्रॉम द सेम लँग्वेज, आणि आपल्यामध्ये तेवढं ते एक अंतर राहत नाही. सो तो अंतर कमी करण्याचा पण एक प्रयत्न आहे. थोडक्यात मी सांगतो की 60 मंडळांमध्ये जवळजवळ आपलं 2.5 ते 3 लाखांपर्यंत रीच आहे. प्रकाशने मेन्शन केलं तसं BMM 24चं मार्केटिंग ऑलरेडी चालू झालेलं आहे. म्हणजे ज्या इंडिव्हिज्युअल्सना किंवा कंपन्यांना किंवा आयडियाज घेऊन जे अमेरिकेत ज्यांना यायचं आहे त्यांच्यासाठी आपण दर महिना आता या 50 मंडळांमध्ये ब्रोशियर्स, फ्लायर्स पाठवायला सुरुवात केलेली आहे. आणि विच रिचेस टू प्रॉब्ली एनिवेअर फ्रॉम 50,000 to 200,000 people, डिपेंडिंग ऑन द कॉन्टेंट अँड एव्हरीथिंग. सो ती एक आपली फॅसिलिटी आहे. ऑलरेडी पहिलं आपलं आजच मला वाटतं गेलेलं आहे. दुसरी गोष्ट मी मेन्शन करतो की आपण एक हुआ नावाचा ॲप आहे की वॉट प्रकाश मेन्शन अबाउट द डेटाबेस. सो इफ यू आम्ही BMM 24मध्ये एक व्हर्च्युअल एक्सपो म्हणून पण एक ऑप्शन ठेवलेला आहे की विच इज व्हेरी इनएक्सपेन्सिव्ह. मला वाटतं ते $800,000 असा काहीतरी जो ऑप्शन आहे. सो त्याच्यामध्ये इफ यू साइन अप फॉर दॅट यू विल कनेक्ट विथ ऑल 7,000 people. आणि तुम्ही तुमचे ईमेल्स पाठवू शका. तुम्ही हे करू शका की फॉर एक्झाम्पल माझी ट्रान्सलेशनची कंपनी आहे आणि मला तिथे बिझनेस एक्सपॅन्ड करायचा आहे. कारण अमेरिकेत गेलेला जो सगळा क्लास आहे ना, हा सगळा इंजिनियर्स, डॉक्टर्स, लॉयर्स, CPS हा खूप एज्युकेटेड क्लास आहे compared to the other countries around the world. So you can start forming your connections 6 months ahead of time. आणि हे यावेळेस अंडर प्रकाश's लिडरशिप एक व्हेरी इनोव्हेटिव्ह आयडिया आलेली आहे. पूर्वी फक्त तिथे कन्व्हेन्शनला भेटण्यावरच होतं. आता यू कॅन स्टार्ट एंगेजिंग विथ 7,000 लोक, हायली क्लासिफाईड, हायली ट्रेन्ड आणि व्हेरी ॲफ्ल्युएंट. म्हणजे मराठी अमेरिकन कम्युनिटी ही अमेरिकेत टॉप 1% फायनान्शियल सक्सेसमध्ये कम्युनिटी येते. इतकी ही ॲफ्ल्युएंट कम्युनिटी आहे. So whether funding is concerned, right knowledge is concerned, know-how is concerned, या सगळ्यांशी जर तुम्हाला कनेक्ट करायचं असलं तर आय वुड डेफिनेटली से की देर आर मल्टिपल वेज. यू कॅन टॉक टू मी, यू कॅन टॉक टू प्रकाश. आनंद इज हिअर टू, ही कॅन ऑल्सो हेल्प यू. 27 जून आणि 30 जूनला ॲक्च्युली इन पर्सन कन्व्हेन्शन आहे, पण त्याचा तुम्हाला जर खरा फायदा घ्यायचा असेल तर स्टार्ट एंगेजिंग विथ BMM 24 फ्रॉम टुडे. सो पुढच्या 6 महिन्यात तुमचं एक नेटवर्क डेव्हलप व्हायला सुरुवात होईल. तुम्हाला प्रॉडक्ट विकायचा असला, मी इथे एक वैद्य ज्वेलर्स म्हणून आहे, इट्स अ स्मॉल आउटफिट. आपल्या ते सोनम हॉल आहे त्याच्या शेजारीच आहेत. सो दे वॉन्ट टू डेव्हलप अ पार्टनर नेटवर्क की त्यांची ज्वेलरी आहे, डायमंड ज्वेलरी आहे. सो दॅट इज अ गुड एक्झाम्पल. इट्स अ स्मॉल आउटफिट. अजून एक गोष्टी मी मेन्शन करतो की BMMचं तुम्हाला प्रॉडक्ट सेल करायचा असला कन्व्हेन्शनच्या वेळेस तर इट्स गोइंग टू बी प्रायमरीली कन्झ्युमर मार्केट. म्हणजे साड्या, ज्वेलरी, तुमचे वॉचेस, पेन्स विचारायचे असेल तर बुक्स आहेत. सो दॅट इज द प्रायमरी. आय एम बिंग ऑनेस्ट विथ यू सगळ्यांबरोबर. तर तो तुमचा मार्केट असेल. तुमचा समजा प्रॉडक्ट असला की ट्रान्सलेशन सॉफ्टवेअर आहे तर नॉट नेसेसरीली एनीवन विल बाय इट देअर. सो तुमचा जर प्रॉडक्ट नॉन कन्झ्युमर असला तर business development where you can tap into lot of engineers, lot of CPAs, accountants आणि lawyers to build your system आणि support system in North America. So काही मला प्रश्न असले तर तुम्ही मला विचारा. sandeep.dikshit@bmmonline.org, sandep.dixit@bmmonline.org. आनंदकडे पण माझा नंबर आहे. आणि सगळ्यांनी आय वुड लव्ह टू टॉक टू ऑल ऑफ यू. काही प्रश्न असले तर मला विचारा. मी पण इथलाच पुण्याचाच बॉर्न अँड ब्रॉटअप आहे, त्यामुळे काही गॅप ठेवू नका. फील फ्री टू रीच आउट टू मी. आणि काही प्रश्न असले तर आनंद इज हिअर टू गाईड यू ॲज वेल. सो थँक्यू सो मच.
ग्रेट. सो आम्ही एक ग्रुप केला आहे. सो वी विल राईट लाईक परहॅप्स सगळे हे जे आलेत आजचे त्यांचे ग्रुपमध्ये आहेत, विल ॲड हिम टू द ग्रुप. सो फील फ्री टू इंटरॅक्ट ओव्हर देअर ॲज वेल. आणि आय रिअली थिंक राईट लाईक दिस इज अ ग्रेट ऑपॉर्च्युनिटी. आणि म्हणजे मी हे फर्स्ट हँड बघितलेलं आहे गर्जे मराठीच्या इव्हेंटमध्ये. मी तिथे गेलो होतो, ऑलमोस्ट 500-600 लोक आली होती. म्हणजे प्रकाशजींचं पण तिथे तेव्हा भाषण झालं. सो इट वॉज राईट लाईक इट्स अन अमेझिंग ऑपॉर्च्युनिटी. आणि द बेस्ट पार्ट राईट लाईक मला काय आवडलं की BMM, गर्जे मराठी तिथे असे सेपरेट नाही आहेत गोष्टी. आय मीन पीपल आर राईट लाईक पार्ट ऑफ बोथ ग्रुप्स. आय मीन इट्स रिअली राईट लाईक ग्रेट टू सी. आणि मला अजूनही कसं वाटतं, आणि मी सिन्स आज म्हणजे आज खरंच आम्ही पण लकी आहोत. आनंद सर पण म्हणजे आनंद गानू सर पण इथे आलेत. मे बी त्यांना पण मी 1-2 म्हणजे लाईक इफ यू कुड जस्ट एक्सप्लेन. म्हणजे मला जर करायचं असेल तर BMM कसं आहे की BMM म्हणजे US मध्ये, तसं US बाहेर सुद्धा आत्ता एवढ्या गर्जे मराठीच्या म्हणजे लोक ॲक्च्युली आहेत आणि इव्हेंट्स करतायत आत्ता. तर वुड डेफिनेटली लाईक टू हिअर दॅट फ्रॉम आनंद गानू सर ॲज वेल.
सगळ्यात प्रथम तुम्हाला सांगतो, आजच्या कार्यक्रमाचं महत्त्व असं आहे की तुम्ही ज्या माणसाला ऐकलत ना त्याला आम्ही एंटरप्रिनरचे भीष्माचार्य म्हणतो. सो अशा माणसाचे तुम्हाला 4 शब्द ऐकायला मिळाले. सो आजच्या सगळ्या कार्यक्रमात तुम्हाला माहीत नाही आहे की त्यांचे जे शब्द, त्यांच्याबरोबर अर्धा तास काढणं हे कुठल्याही एंटरप्रिनरला इतकं लाईफ लाँग रिवॉर्डिंग होतं. सो प्रकाशजी, थँक्यू व्हेरी मच फॉर शेअरिंग युअर इमेन्स एक्सपिरियन्स विथ अस. संदीप, कॉंग्रॅच्युलेशन्स अँड ऑल द बेस्ट फॉर द रिअल बिग इव्हेंट. तुम्ही संदीपने अगदी थोडक्या शब्दात सांगितलं, बट इट्स अ मॅमॉथ टास्क दॅट दे हॅव अंडरटेकन. 3 दिवस 7-8 हजार लोकांना एंगेज ठेवणं, त्यांना व्हॅल्यू देणं आणि त्याचबरोबर कम्युनिटीचा बॉन्ड बिल्डअप करणं इज नॉट इझी. प्रकाशजींच्या अंडर एबल गायडन्स संदीप हॅज टेकन ओव्हर दिस अँड आय विश हिम ऑल द बेस्ट. आपण आपल्या सी दॅट्स अ व्हेरी ह्यूज दिस थिंग ऑर्गनायझेशन. गरजे मराठी आत्ता आपण तसे वयाने लहान आहोत, आपणही तोच प्रयत्न करतो आणि वी हॅव रिस्ट्रिक्टेड, आपण एक पेरिमीटर ड्रॉ केली आहे की आपण एंटरप्रेनरशिप, एज्युकेशन, शेअरिंग नॉलेज, गिविंग बॅक टू सोसायटी ह्याच्या पलीकडे जाणार नाही आहोत. आणि वी आर वर्किंग टुगेदर, वी आर इन कोलॅबरेशन. ॲज अ मॅटर ऑफ फॅक्ट BMM 2024च्या साठी माझ्याकडनं जे करता येईल ते मी करत आलेलोच आहे. सो विशिंग देम ऑल द बेस्ट. गरजे मराठीविषयी तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना माहिती आहेच. आपल्याला कुठलंही एंटरप्रिनरशिप किंवा नॉलेज शेअरिंग किंवा आपल्या करिअर ॲडव्हान्समेंटसाठी काहीही करायचं असेल तर आनंद इज देअर, माधव दापके इज देअर, अवर विजय तळेळे इज देअर. वी आर ऑलवेज देअर. लेट अस बी टुगेदर. आणि जो मराठी माणसांना एकमेकांना मदत करत नाहीत हा जो ॲब्सोल्युटली रॉंग असा जो स्टिग्मा आहे ना, तो आता गेलेला आहे. सो लेट अस कम टुगेदर अँड मेक आवर कंट्री, आवर सेल्फ प्राऊड. थँक्यू व्हेरी मच. नमस्ते.
Thank you, Anand sir. So great. Yes.
So you asked me a question about a live example, actual that's happening right now. की इथनं मार्केटिंग तिथे कुठली कंपनी जाऊ शकते. सो संदीप ब्रीफली मेन्शन अर्ली पार्ट ऑफ मायग्रेशन हॅपन इन अर्ली 60s. 60मध्ये एक लोंढा गेला लोकांचा, मराठी लोकांचा, इंडियनचा ह्याचे म्हटलं स्पिक मराठी. मग 70sमध्ये मग थोडं लल पिरियड झाला. मग 70sमध्ये आमच्यासारखे लोक गेले आणि ते कंटिन्युअसली गेले स्लोली टिल अबाउट 95. आणि 95मध्ये नंतर Y2K नंतर इट टुक ऑफ अँड द रेस्ट इज हिस्ट्री. तर जे 60s and 70sमध्ये गेले माझ्यासारखे, नाव वी आर इन 75 एज ग्रुप, 70 to 90 age group. So there is an issue that is pertaining to aging America. Market segment, right? Aging America. For all Indians. Americans too, but Indians, I'm giving an example for Indians, right? So that we have not decided that we are going to go, इथे का तिथे नाही, आता मी तिथे. What is going to happen is going to happen to us there. So the issues that we run into, the senior citizens are running into, aging America issues are running into. One of the largest issues is the market segment is about health. You know, it's not the question of me buying a Ferrari or buying a home on the hill or traveling to Tiger's Peak in Bhutan. That's done and over with. It's really the health is the critical issue, right? A huge market segment for the health related issues, whether they are concierge medicine, whether they may be elective surgeries, there may be dental areas, so on and so forth, right? So I saw an opportunity. An opportunity is serious. It's a very big opportunity. There are concerns about, so how that can be mitigated. So we said, okay, what if we use the Indian medical establishments to help that, supplement that. You may not have an idea, but at an average in California, to take a doctor's appointment takes 10 days. If you have something happening to you, you cannot speak to the doctor. You go to nurse, you go do this, that, whatever, 10 दिवस तरी लागतात. The average person to get a surgery done for a knee replacement is 9 months. Because you have to go through all this circus with insurance companies, with HMOs, basically. They put you through all this. Take this, then take cortisone shot, then take this, then take this. Even though you can see the doctor is telling you there's a knee problem, cortisone shot not going to work, they have to put you through that. For example, it costs on the average about $8,000 to $10,000 to get an implant done, dental implant. After some time, after some schedule, right? I'm just sharing with you some issues here, right? So we approached Ruby Hall. I approached Ruby Hall. I approached a couple of other people. I said, what if we create a scenario where you could provide us a concierge medicine, where they cannot prescribe the medicine, but you can pick up the phone and you can explain your problem, and with the thanks to COVID, everybody is very comfortable with telemedicine, with all the vitals being read and this, that, so on and so forth. I can get an instant doctor, wonderful. I have concierge medicine in the US, but I am paying $40,000 a year just for that. Not everybody can afford it. I can get my doctor in no time, in 1 minute, but not everybody can. But how can you make it available to everyone? Can you make it affordable? Concierge medicine. Same thing with respect to knee surgery. What will it cost to get the knee surgery done in India and then go back? Or same thing with the dental implant. It costs 50,000 rupees here. It costs $8,000 there. You do the math. I mean, you can get a dental implant done, visit your families, do whatever, and then go back and still save money. $1,500 तिकिटाचे झाले, $500 तुझे डेंटल इम्प्लांटचे झाले, 2,000 झाले, 2 आणखी 500 तुझ्या हॉटेलचे झाले, बाकीचे तू घेऊन खिचात ठेव ना. So I'm just giving an example. So it's a market opportunity. You asked me a question. So here is the market opportunity for the medical associations to kind of pull together and see if they can serve that market segment. It's happening. So there are opportunities. I don't want to discourage you saying product. There are opportunities. You have to keep the perspective open as to where those opportunities are. Right? That's very important. And second point, I should have mentioned, which I didn't, which Sanjeev mentioned. Thank you. That the WOA app that has been put together, that if you subscribe to it and you get whatever the $800 or whatever it is you pay, you can put your own ad. It's a online portal that is accessed by all the attendees. So you have access to the attendees and attendees have access to you. Also, there is a plan being put together to have all the emails and the connections to entire Marathi clan in US, so that they can be accessed for consumer applications primarily. You're not going to ask them about translation, but Air India is very interested, for example. Because 80% of the people come here, they want to start services from Chicago and wherever. So it is a banaya base that they can get. Here is the name, the person, this, that, offer the discount, offer whatever, and you get connected with everybody right away, for example. So these are the things that are done by different groups. I mean, Garje Marathi is doing its own, BMM is doing its own, TIE does its own. Become a part of it. Become part and stay involved. That's all I'm trying to tell you.
Great. Thank you. So, great. I mean, we'll now open, the session for the floor. So, तुम्हाला काही questions असतील कोणाला, just raise the hand and maybe I'll pass on the mic.
Anand is a part of it. I'm a part of it. Yeah. Anand will tell you. Oh, he knows about Snehanda. So, Snehanda is a group of people, 65 plus. About maybe 100 families, 100 couples. And one time they asked me to come and talk about my experiences, not about this IT, but what I've done. I'm a PhD guy, I do a lot of different things. They asked me to come and ask about it. So the session lasted 45 minutes of duration. So first 40 minutes we did whatever, and somehow I mentioned the concept medicine I talked about. The next 2.5 hours was everything else was eliminated and the entire discussion was on concept medicine. Well, every one of them is facing that problem of having the access to the doctor, this, that, one. So here is a customer base that is asking for a solution.
So in fact, that's right. One of my friend, in fact, is coming from Atlanta. He's coming, in fact, on 7th of January, just for a dental implant, rightly you said, right? And he's going to stay back for a couple of weeks and then he's going to fly back. So.
Speaking of dental implant, I had to done this week.
Having 20 millions.
No, the question, the reason I got it done is not primarily for the money, but I trust the doctor who I felt is one of the best surgeons money is important, but best surgeons in the world, I think, in the market. But anyway, regardless. So, Ayurvedic medicine falls in the same category. So, if you look at the people who can generate the requirements. So, if you were part of the 7,000 thing and you become that you offer a solution, if there is a drop, it automatically will pull, and then there you go. Here, I mean, I was even expecting to do this.
I am asking your perspective
Huh.
as an Indian American, let's say, because as a your perspective as an Indian American, because we have been now living, of course, in US for the last 50 years. So how do you perceive? So somebody is offering you, let's say, that kind of a medicine. What is going to be your perspective? How you are going to perceive it?
I think my perspective is no different than the average Indian American. We are brainwashed with respect to the way the allopathic medicine has been demonstrated and has been sold to us, where there is a specific trial that have gone on, the FDA approvals that have gone on, the effects that we have seen, so on and so forth. We are brainwashed. As compared to in Ayurvedic medicine, it still has some questionable issues, in the mind, people's mind, in terms of its effects and all those. It should not be, but that's what it is there, right? So in order for it to be comparable in every person's mind, I think what is lacking in the Ayurvedic medicine is the discipline and the structure and the discipline and the way it is presented. And the way when the doctors are being perceived, for example, right? So the test is on you. If there are 100 people that want to get into medicine, if 99 of them are eyeing to get into Ayurvedic medicine as opposed to Ayurvedic medicine, you have the answer. Typically what happens from starting with the doctors, all the so-called brains of people who want to follow, typically all the veterans go into allopathy. And then they go into DO, then they go into brain cells. And you don't get into that, and then whatever is left, go into the Ayurvedic. So the quality of the doctors and the way they come out, reflects that. Number two, for whatever reason, the people who are practicing for years, they had kept all that thing to secret to themselves. They have never shared the recipe, they have never shared, it has not gone through a independent assessment and then trials and so on and so that people do it. Okay. It is changing. And it is changing in the area where it is the betterment of life, not supposed to the ailment. Ailment is put in the third problem that I see in the Ayurvedic medicine from my perspective is I have tried everything under the sun with allopathic and it's not working. Now I go to some alternative medicine, I go to Ayurvedic medicine, so let's see if we can. But it is like a last resort people are looking. So all these things are not contributing in terms of building the healthy image of the Ayurvedic medicine. The changes that we see with respect to the betterment of life, but not from the serious elements. And until some of these things get fixed, I think it's going to be very tough to be a part of the organization. I met with Hanmas Gaikwad, I don't know if you know So I mean, he briefly shared with me what he had done. He has some research going on, he has shared that. If that can be expanded, and if that can be legitimized, and if that can be presented to the appropriate US agencies and so on and so forth, I think there is definitely potential for that. But it is just not done in a in a structured manner.
ॲक्च्युली आपण सायंटिफिकली अप्रोच होत नाही, आपण आपल्याला प्रूव्ह करत नाही. माधव धापके सांगतील आता आमच्याकडे नाडी परीक्षेवरती ज्यांनी ॲप बनवलं, ही हॅज गॉट अप्रुव्हल इन USA अँड दे आर युजिंग एज अ डायग्नोस्टिक. माधव, कॅन यू जस्ट इनॉग्रेट ऑन दॅट? आपले एक डॉक्टर अनिरुद्ध जोशी म्हणून त्यांनी ते डेव्हलप केलं. माधव प्लीज.
सो आत्ता आपण ज्या सर तुम्ही म्हणाल तर इट्स व्हेरी ॲप्रोप्रिएट, पण आपल्याकडे एक नाडी तरंगिणी नावाची एक कंपनी पुण्यातच आहे, इथेच बनतात सगळी प्रॉडक्ट त्यांची. त्यांनी काय केलं आहे की जसा आपला ECG येतो, सो ॲलोपॅथिक मेडिसिन विल हॅव अ ECG लुकिंग ॲट द हार्ट कंडिशन्स अँड प्रेडिक्टिंग वेदर यू हॅड अ हार्ट कंडिशन ऑर नॉट. वॉट ही हॅज डन इज he has done a research and invented and patented, including US patent, नाडी तरंगिणी नावाचं मशीन आहे. आणि पूर्वी सर जसं तुम्ही म्हणालात की वैद्य होते जे नाडी परीक्षा करायचे, ते कसं करायचे कधीच कोणाला सांगायचं नाहीत. सो दिस नाडी तरंगिणी हॅज टेकन ऑफ दॅट अँड व्हॉट ही हॅज डन, ती नाडी तरंगिणी 3 मिनटं तुमच्या तो नाडीवरती, इट्स अ वेअरेबल आणि 9 प्रकारच्या नाडींचा एक्झॅक्ट ECG सारखा ग्राफ येतो. आणि ज्यांना आयुर्वेदातली थोडी माहिती आहे, मी मेडिकल स्टुडंट नाही किंवा मला मेडिसिनमधलं फार माहिती नाही, पण तो ॲक्च्युली 9 प्रकारच्या नाड्या कुठल्या ह्युमन बिंगमध्ये एक्झिस्ट असतात, त्याचं सगळा म्हणजे त्याच्यामध्ये सर्पदोष असेल, हा दोष असेल, तो विविध प्रकारच्या आणि बिकॉज नाव इट इज प्रिंटेड लाईक अन ECG, एनी डॉक्टर नॉट नेसेसरली ओनली आयुर्वेद, एनी डॉक्टर वुड बी इन अ पोझिशन टू डायग्नोज द रूट कॉज ऑफ युअर एलिमेंट. नाव लुक ॲट दिस गोईंग वर्ल्ड ओव्हर. आणि आत्ता अजून एक सर त्याच्या पुढची गोष्ट सांगतो की वाईल US तर हे होतंच आहे, किंवा मी डेफिनेटली स्नेहबंधन ग्रुपबरोबर तर हे कॉन्व्हर्सेशन विल सेट इट अप फॉर दॅट. पण मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टंटली आत्ता भारतातल्या 5 स्टेटमध्ये गव्हर्मेंट हॅज गिवन एन इनिशिएटिव्ह टू हॅव नाडी तिरंगिणी विथ एव्हरी प्रायमरी हेल्थ सेंटर. सो ECG मशीन असेल नसेल पण नाडी तिरंगिणी असायला पाहिजे, कारण डॉक्टरांचा डायग्नोसिस त्यामुळे चांगला होतोय. नॉट ओनली दॅट, आत्ता 2 हॉस्पिटल, मी आत्ता नावं नाही सांगणार, पण 2 हॉस्पिटल अशी आहेत महाराष्ट्रात की ज्यांनी कॅन्सर थेरपीपर्यंत अल्टरनेट मेडिसिनचा कंबाईंड थेरपीसाठी उपयोग करून, म्हणजे एखाद्याला समजा पेन मॅनेजमेंटसाठी मार्फिन देत असतील, पण त्याच्याऐवजी एखादं होमिओपॅथिक कुठलं मेडिसिन असेल अँड विच कॅन हेल्प यू रिड्यूस पेन, व्हाय नॉट यूज दॅट. किंवा आयुर्वेदातला एखाद्या कुठल्या सुवर्ण भस्माचा किंवा कुठला वापर होत असेल तर व्हाय नॉट दॅट. सो पीपल आर, अँड इट्स अगेन अ डिमांड पूल, कारण कस्टमर म्हणतात की अरे मला सगळंच ॲलोपॅथीनी नका करू, आय वॉन्ट टू ट्राय मल्टिपल मेडिसिन्स बट अंडर वन गायडन्स, अंडर वन रूफ. सो इट इज वर्किंग. आय थिंक इट इज गोइंग टू टेक अ टाईम, बट द एफर्ट्स आर व्हेरी कॉन्शियसली बिंग मेड. आणि सर थँक्यू सो मच. आय थिंक दॅट वॉज अ व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट नोट.
I think I don't like the word alternative medicine. What we should coin the term is integrated medicine. So what it should be, some part of the Ayurvedic aspect, some part of homeopathic aspect, maybe in some part of allopathic aspect. It is each of them have their own position, in terms of solving the health issue. And I think the new term that needs to be coined is the integrated medicine and not alternative medicine. That's a wrong perspective. Alternative medicine काय हे झालं नाही म्हणून आम्ही ते वापरतोय. That's wrong. But the issues that I talked about are real issues. The qualified doctors with the right mindset and the right expertise, that's lacking. A scientific diagnosis and assessment, that's lacking. And this hidden secret recipe business that the old Vaidyas have formed, that has to change and that has to become people independent. It will make a big progress.
So you invest in different ventures. So how do you decide what is the right time to come out of that venture? Whether you have any fixed kind of returns in your mind, or you stay invested for a long time until you get your returns.
See, there is only 2 exits. One is I have invested money. Any VC that invested money, either the company is acquired by public company and you are a holder of public shares now that which can sell, okay, or the company goes public and you sell off your shares. There is no other exit. So I'm an investor in a company in Indore, company called Web Dunia. Okay, so now that company was incorporated. It was a translation company, like what he's talked about. It was doing all these different language translations for the cell phones and so on and so forth. Then it did a Hindi coach and whatnot. It's a big company now. It got incorporated about 11 years ago. Okay, and Ambani invested in them. So Ambani is against my wishes. The founder decided to take 51% from Ambani. The company is doing very well. I don't know when I will see my money. until it goes public or something happens. So the reason I'm telling you this is because it's a true story. I'm just relating it to you so they can understand. So my exits typically come, mine or any VC. Either the company gets acquired by a public company that they retire your shares, okay, or in same way someday Ambani may buy 100% and give our money back and we're done, or the company goes public. Then then there are restrictions as to when you sell and whatnot, and that's why you'll never see my name on a public company. The reason is because I don't want to be restricted in terms of when I sell, what I sell, because you are privy to certain information, and you become 16B officers, and there are a lot of restrictions in terms of the selling windows and so on and so forth. So I don't want to be part of it. So when the company files for the IPO, I resign from the board. My shares are there, so I sell it when it opens up, but I don't get involved with any of the public entities. But the only two exits, no other exit. Or it goes under.
Anyone else? Yeah, more than a question, it's just a quick BMM and suggestion also. I attended 2011 Chicago BMM convention, and as you said, I think that was the first time they had started business forum, and I was there on the first day, and it was a great experience for me. And since I stayed in Chicago for a long time, I was telling them, like my friend said, okay, so I was in Pune and so it was a great experience. The only thing I'm sure it has changed over the time, because it was happening first time. There was hardly any time was given for networking. Okay, we need lots of time for networking when people like these are coming and they want to talk to each other, make more connections, keep sessions, but make sure those are very complete.
Thank you so much, and exactly that's what I think we are doing under Prakash's leadership.
I think more than networking just there, I think what was not available was what Sandeep alluded to. Is this who I am gives you the relationship, you can build it ahead of time. So you know who you are connecting. You can meet there, but you can build I'll give an example. For a retail example, so that you can see what is important. There is a company here in Pune called Venus Traders. Some of you know. So the Venus Traders owner came to me and said, we have this flourishes pen that they have worked, right? And so if you want to sell this pen in BMM, so can you sell 1,000? Other, we need to understand how the consumer marketing works, consumer goods work. So there is something called the impulse buy. So you go to this thing and say, I like it, I'll just pick it up. I don't think twice, I just pick it up. Then there is a one-time visit. If the pilot, I have not decided, but I go back second time and I buy it. Then third time, there is a third level, which is I need to ask the spouse to see if I should buy that.
That's most opposite.
Because there are price gradients. So, $5 I'll pick it up. Some $99 I'll think, maybe not now, maybe I'll think about it. And $299 just I'll get $320, $500, I may take a consultation. I will have to take consultation from the family, for example, right? So here is an example. So when you come to me with a pail, with a solution like that, and you bring your 1,000 pails there, and how much are you going to sell for? Are you going to sell for, if you are going to sell for $5, 1,000 pails will get sold. If you are to put the price to be $50, equivalent of what goes on here, then I may think, I may not immediately buy that, but I may think, my birthday is that may be a good birthday gift. Maybe I will, give me your number, I will call you and see if I can pick it up, for example, right? So what I suggested to him is, become part of the UI, put the thing in there, so that people can see it. So when they come there, and you can even say, pick up your thing at whatever. So at least you have 6 months of preparation time for the price that you are charging. You see, so these kinds of technological solutions were not available 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but now they are. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is because how you can utilize those apps, how you can utilize that app. So he can now access to all 6,000-7,000 people and they pick up whatever they pick up. I don't know how many pails you will sell, but depending on the price and depending on how, the problem is different. Problem is, 40-45 वर्षाच्या वरच्या लोकांना फुलंचपणे कोणी माहिती आहे, 45 खाली लोकांना फुलंचपणे माहितच नाही आहे. I will tell you a very funny story, but that applies to all of you. In the youth committee, there are about 20 people, 22 people. त्यामुळे काय ते ABCD आहे. त्यांचं फुलं सोडून देत. I forget about that. Those who are born and brought up here, त्याच्यापैकी जेव्हा मी तो प्रपोज पुलं भाई एक कविता आम्ही इथं नाटक तुझे टेकिंग पुलांचं नाटक आहे ना मुक्ता वर्णाचं पुलं कोण आहे हुज पुलं 12 लोकांपैकी 5 लोकांना इथे वाढलेले पुण्या मुंबईत वाढलेले मराठी आणि चांगली फेमस मराठी हिची नावं ओके दे कॅनॉट रीड अँड राईट मराठी फ्लुएंटली दे रायटिंग मराठी इन इंग्लिश स्क्रिप्ट मी 5 मिनिटं वाय इज रायटिंग लाईक दॅट तुझा यूज ये असं म्हणजे सार आहे पण व्हॉट दे आर डुइंग बिकॉज आपण आपल्या पोरांना मारून उठकून इंग्लिश मीडियममध्ये घातलं त्यांना इंजिनिअरिंगमध्येच पळवलं राईट अँड नाव वी से दॅट दे डोंट रीड मराठी दे डोंट अंडरस्टँड मराठी दे डोंट नो हू नारायण सुर्वे हू ग्रेस इज अँड हू बापू काळे आपली चूक आहे ती बट रिअल लाईफ एक्झाम्पल आय एम टेलिंग यू not a part of this topic here but it is something to think about, right?
Last question. Yeah. So question and comment as well. So I was at Garje Marathीच्या याला होतो सर तुम्हाला भेटलेलं आहे तर इट वॉज अ गुड इव्हेंट ज्यांना कोणाला जायचं असेल त्यांनी नक्की BMM ला जा असं मी म्हणेन तर अजून एक कॉमेंट सर अशी आहे की आपण बोललो US मध्ये एक्सपान्शन आणि US मध्ये 13 वर्ष आले सिटीजन आहे त्यामुळे गेल्या 600 दिवसामध्ये 120 ट्रिप्स मारले नॉट जस्ट टू US अबाउट 20 ऑड कंट्रीज सो वन ऑफ द थिंग्स दॅट आय लर्न एज अ फाउंडर इज अ सेल्समन आय एम अ सेल्समन की बॅग पॅक करून ठेवायची आणि भरपूर बजेट ऑप्शन्स अवेलेबल असतात आपल्याला ट्रॅव्हल करायला सो प्रत्येक वेळेला असं नाही आणि जर का तुम्ही 2-3 फाउंडर्स एकत्र आले तर अजून बजेटमध्ये तुमचं ट्रॅव्हल होऊ शकतं सो सेल्स पर्सन हायर करायच्या आधी सुद्धा इफ यू कॅन बिकम युअर ओन सेल्स पर्सन आणि सर म्हटल्याप्रमाणे फाउंडर्स आर ऑलवेज द सेल्स पीपल दे मे नॉट बी गुड सेल्स पीपल बट अदर पर्सन ट्रस्ट सो दॅट इज वन थिंग दॅट आय वुड ऑलवेज एन्करेज की ते तुम्ही करा आणि सेकंड थिंग रिक्वेस्ट सर की मागच्या वर्षी कर्जे मराठीने खूप लोकांचे व्हिसा केले आय थिंक फाउंडर्सला इथं इंडियामध्ये प्रॉब्लेम्स आहेत बऱ्याचदा की US चा व्हिसा मिळणं आणि तो 10 वर्षाचा मिळेल फॉर्च्युनेटली मला तो प्रॉब्लेम नाही पण बऱ्याच जणांना हा प्रॉब्लेम असतो तर BMMच्या थ्रू काहीतरी होणार असेल तर त्याची नक्की सोय व्हावी म्हणजे लोकांना व्हिसा मिळेल आणि दे कॅन एक्सपांड दॅट टू ॲज अ पार्ट ऑफ दॅट
राईट
It can be already thought through itself in arrange.
नाही आणि गरजे मराठीने ते हॅक केलं होतं ॲक्च्युली बिकॉज दे सो परहॅप्स यू मे वॉन्ट टू कोलॅबरेट अँड फाइंड आउट राईट लाईक दॅट पार्ट एज वेल सो ग्रेट पॉईंट्स आणि यू नो आय हॅव हर्ड ग्रेट थिंग्स अबाउट यू फ्रॉम चेतन सो रिअली लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू टॉकिंग टू यू ऑन दॅट एज वेल सो यू नो दॅट्स इट सो आपण आता एक काम करू विल हॅव राईट लाईक अ नेटवर्किंग कॅज्युअल डिस्कशन ओव्हर हिअर कारण का आता बसायला म्हणजे लोक 10 वाजता चालू होतं ऑफिस सो यू नो फ्यू पीपल विल जॉईन अँड विल स्टार्ट वर्क ओव्हर हिअर बट अगेन प्रकाशजी थँक्यू सो मच म्हणजे प्लीज म्हणजे बिग राऊंड ऑफ अपलॉज अँड थँक्यू सो मच राईट लाईक शॉर्ट नोटीसवरती आणि आय थिंक यू नो दिस वॉज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट एफिशियंट मीटिंग दॅट वी वेर एबल टू सेटअप सो परहॅप्स 2-3 मेसेजेस याच्यावरती आणि यु नो आणि 2-3 मेसेजेस आम्ही केले आणि त्याच्यानंतर आम्ही ते झालं सुद्धा सो thank you so much. Then I would definitely like to, you know, of course, right, like we'll ask Madhavji also to talk, but really Madhav Pangavkaranche sudha mala thanks म्हणायचे because relentlessly follow up घेतात ते, right, like every day, right, like I have a message from him, काय झालंय, काय status आहे, कसं करायचंय आणि you know, it's not easy, right, like especially when you are talking to multiple people, like म्हणजे बिझी पीपल तर ते त्यांच्याबरोबर करणं तर आय मीन ही हॅज डन अ रिअली वंडरफुल जॉब त्यांच्यामुळे हा इव्हेंट लाईक होऊ शकला सो अगेन बिग राऊंड ऑफ अपलॉज टू हिम ॲज वेल thank you you know Sandeep Dikshit I mean definitely right like I mean wishing you all the best for BMM event whatever we can do from Pune right like happy to like anything that we can do for entrepreneurs over here happy to connect right like on that level and again Garze Marathi I have been part of Garze Marathi मला आता जे काही कनेक्शन्स तिथे मिळतात राईट लाईक आय मीन I'm really grateful for all the you know connections that I have been receiving through this Garze Marathi platform so I highly recommend and again as we all discussed these are not mutually exclusive these are all inclusive platforms we need to help each other and you know that's happening right now so let's actually also support and create right like a wonderful community as you know Anand Ganu so all the right like Garze Marathi team thank you for coming here and you know always thanks for your support right then you know we have Abhijit Khadilkar right like also here would definitely like to yeah so so you know really great thought leader he has come all the way right like for this event and of course right like I mean other things also but आज तर नव्हता तरी पण त्याला मी आज यायला सांगितलं आणि he came so please right like try to seize that as opportunity talk to him if possible so great to have him over here as well so again would love to thank my wonderful colleagues you know if you could see right like 7 वाजल्यापासून 6:30 वाजल्यापासून I mean they are here आणि अगेन राईट लाईक कॉफी जी आहे राईट आय मीन कन्सिस्टंटली एवढ्या लोकांची सेम क्वालिटीची कॉफी करणं इट्स लाईक अ बिग थिंग सो लेट्स गिव्ह अ बिग राऊंड ऑफ अपलॉज यु नो आणि सगळ्यात महत्त्वाची गोष्ट म्हणजे गणेश प्रशांत आणि संजय या तिघांच्याही जेडीमध्ये हे नाहीये दिस इज लाईक ऑल लाईक आपण लाईक अबाउट जेडी राईट लाईक ते करतायत काम अँड दे हॅव बीन डुईंग अ फॅन्टॅस्टिक जॉब राईट लाईक सो थँक्यू गणेश अँड थँक्यू एव्हरीवन आणि थँक्यू एव्हरीवन फॉर जॉईनिंग आणि अगेन लाईक लास्टली लाईक वेद काळे अँड यु नो सुधनवा राईट लाईक फॉर अरेंजिंग राईट लाईक आय मीन हेल्पिंग राईट लाईक ऑल द पार्टिसिपेंट विथ क्वेश्चन आन्सर्स सो थँक्यू सो मच सो हे सगळं कलेक्टिव्ह आहे ॲक्च्युली हेल्प सो आता आपण जी काही लिंक्डइनवरती पोस्ट टाकू त्याच्यात सुद्धा आपण BMM बाकीच्या सगळ्या गोष्टी आपण मेन्शन करू सो लेट्स एंगेज विथ दोज पोस्ट I mean त्या ग्रुपवरती आपण टाकू प्लीज एंगेज विथ दॅट अँड लाईक ऑल्सो शेअर दिस विथ युअर कलिग्स एज वेल सो दॅट विल बी एबल टू स्प्रेड द वर्ड वन्स अगेन थँक्यू सो मच अँड रिअली लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू हॅव्हिंग you know future wonderful sessions thank you